All right, so I wanted to go over a couple things. I know this is not um, par for the course for my channel, but um, I'm a I've been a real estate agent for 16 years. Um, I've seen up markets and down markets, and I mean I've been an entire year, um, not where it just didn't sell a property, but have listings that don't even get shown. uh, Back in 2007 ish. A really difficult market. Um, so I'm always paying very close attention to the market and what it does and why it does it. And um, I don't claim to have any uh, special powers or anything like that, but I do know when this whole virus thing started um, in 2020. I had 4 properties that were under contract. Um, Typically, they're set to close. All of them set to close within the 30-day time frame. All of them financed. Um, 2 FHA loans, 1 USDA loan, and 1 conventional. 3 of those 4 fell immediately. And I guess it was March. The lender called me and said, we can't do the loans. I'm like, well, oh goodness, what happened? There's usually what I call hiccups in every transaction. So, and this specific loan officer actually had 2 of them. Had one of the FHAs and the USDA, and he said the investors have dropped out. So, well, this is at this time of 14 years, and so what do you mean the investors have dropped out? It's like, is this your bank, or if I owe it to my people, if they've got an option, if we need to go somewhere else, that's what we'll do, and please understand that. And he said, absolutely. He said, but it's not. He said, I don't really know all the details, but all I know is they've told me the investors dropped out, and there's nobody to buy those loans on the secondary market. So what typically happens, as soon as you get a mortgage, most of these loans are sold immediately, and basically there was nobody there to buy those loans on that secondary market. So I talked to him for a little while, and he said he absolutely understood if somebody else could get it through or whatever, but his hands were tied at the moment, until further notice. About the same time, I get a call from another lender that had one of the other FHA loans. And she tells me the same thing. And I'm like, okay, well, this is, of course, at that time, I mean, anything and everything was, I guess, possible. Didn't really know where things were going at all. But I get off the phone with her, and I'm like, man, I really don't understand. Like, I mean, I understand what they're telling me, but I have another very trusted loan officer in Atlanta, and she's like a 30 or 40-year veteran. She understands everything thoroughly, and it's one of those people that's not afraid to explain things to you. So I called her, and I told her what I had going on. And like I said, she's not involved in these transactions, but she's very good at what she does, and she's a good person. And I love working with her. She's just not local to our area, so sometimes that makes it a little more difficult. But I asked her, what was going on, and she's like, yeah. She said, it's across the board. She said, in the 30 days when all the first lockdown started and everything, the amount of mortgages that went into default basically didn't make their payment during those 30 days was so high that the investors dropped out, that they were not willing to, if they didn't have, typically the threshold is a 680 for a conventional customer, 580 or so for FHA. She said if they're not a conventional customer or have that 680 credit score, we're losing all those deals for the time being, and for the foreseeable future, until something changes. Well, so that kind of made a little more sense. What didn't make sense was I made my phone calls and told my clients and told the other agents on the other side. People are they're in the middle of moving. We had one that was supposed to close like in 4 or 5 days, and their loan just fell off. So I've told them what's going on. Of course, at that point, everybody kind of knew, like, we didn't know what was going to happen. But it was 2 weeks later, all of a sudden, I get the phone calls. The loans are back on. Everything's good to go. And the reason I'm telling you this is because a lot of people they understand what's going on somewhat. They pay a little bit of attention to the economy, to the Fed, to the interest rates. But I don't think they understand what I assume has been going on. The Fed has been buying all this paper, all these loans. The investors aren't buying these loans. Federal Reserve is buying these loans. So when they're talking about tapering the Fed's balance sheet, this is one of the majority of what they're buying. And that's why it's very critical to pay attention to that. I thought we would have had the real estate crash we should have had the real estate crash within 3 months of those lockdowns. But something else stepped in and said, well, we'll buy these loans on the secondary market. So a lot of people just don't understand that. And I listen to a lot of people, whether it be on YouTube or podcast, or the radio or the news or any outlet I can. I try to stay as informed as possible, but nobody talks about that. And I've yet to hear anyone even mention it, the fact that that's what we're talking about. And that some of them may understand it, but they don't explain it to the fact that, this is what we're talking about. It's the Fed buying these loans. And that's why until that, the interest rate rises 0.25% or 0.5%. That's nothing. Their stated inflation is 8.5 or 7 or 8.5 or whatever. It's nothing to the actual inflation, but that's also nothing to the actual reason the economy has stayed healthy for, if you want to call it healthy, or artificially stood up, or whatever you want to call it. But when the Fed actually quits buying these, because at this point home prices are so inflated, I don't think investors are jumping back in. All the investors are waiting at this point. So when the Fed does start the tapering, legitimate tapering, and until then, or something else very dramatic or major happens, the bottom's not going to fall out of this real estate market. I do think something has to give eventually. I don't know the timeline. If things ran their natural course, then they would have the housing market would have crashed a year and a half ago. Things are artificially manipulated. That's what they mean when they say they're being manipulated. This is the portion that nobody's talking about. So just wanted to get that out there. Like I said, I don't ever make a video like this, but I thought it was something that hopefully some people that are smarter than me can possibly elaborate on, because it just doesn't get said, it doesn't get explained. Even if they may know this information, it's still not getting explained. And to me, that's the whole, if you're looking for precursors for markets or anything, to me that's pretty much one of the most valuable pieces of information that I own. And when I tell people about it, they just glance it off. But that's the real reason why the market hasn't crashed, in my opinion. I'm not a financial expert advisor, or I'm just a real estate agent with actual knowledge of the market. But anyways, let me know in the comments what you think, or I'd really like to hear from Economic Ninja or Gregory Mannarino or some of those big guys, and get their take on it. It's hard to get all that through in the comments, but I mean, I trust both, even though their opinions don't always line up with each other. That's the whole point, is you get your information and then discern with the information as you wish, and make your best decision based on your situation. So, but yeah, if you guys know any more about that, I'd love to hear more about it. But thanks for watching.